Alright, hello again there. Also, I want to thank everyone for letting me know last time that I had no sound. Because I think that may have happened when I had updated OBS at one point. It had just removed where my desktop was trying to look for where the desktop audio was being looked for. So, yeah, sorry about that. I also don't generally check that, funnily enough. I kind of just switched these over in order to actually get things loaded. And yeah, so we're actually we're not gonna do another time down the Paramecium today. We're gonna do an iron organism, so we're gonna just focus on using iron, and then also things gonna, actually no, it's annoying me last time because I did a test run, it kept on asking me to do thermosynthase, so I want that off so I don't get hassled by it constantly asking for it. Yeah, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to include the glucose normally as well for any of these. So that means I can use chemosynthesis to make some more glucose. But the other main form of ATP production I'll be allowed to use will be whatever the main thing is. So this will be with obviously iron. So iron and glucose is the only things I can utilize. So no, obviously no temperature. Part of the reason why it's nice that I turned it off, so it doesn't yell at me about it. Also, no radiation, and I obviously can't become a plant, even though that would produce glucose. There's not really a lot of iron up in the higher patches, so I'm going to just avoid it. You know, just it's always fun. Let's take a look at patch map. I'm really sad if we had a banana biome here, and I would have wanted to do that instead. I wonder if I'll ever get one of those, which, if I do, obviously, I'm sure why I started not doing the fog wars, because I was unaware that the banana biome was still actually a thing that could appear in the game, so I have it on in case it shows up in one of these, and although that whole video would be completely derailed from its entire purpose just because of that, so it'd be really interesting if that does end up happening at some point, because if that does happen, my goal will be to simply create a cell that looks like a banana and live in the banana biome, which I think makes complete sense. Also, I don't know if this was an intended change or just how it worked, and I just had never noticed it, but if you add in like iron synthesis now, you'll immediately start dying if you don't have iron at all. So even once we're able to evolve, I'm gonna make sure I'm near an iron chunk, which is kind of getting close. I'm gonna stick right around here. Yeah, I am going 2 times speed just because this early part is a bit slow at times. Grab this glucose, but we're going to sit right here in this iron, right when we go to evolve, so we don't immediately suffer. And also, as you can see, since you have it start to just life as you know it, there's no, usually it would have a thermosynthase branch off as well, but when that isn't a thing, you just get chemosynthesis and then an iron guy. But of course, we're going to be doing both iron and sulfur. Yep. Again. Alright. So, boop, and boop. Now, something I have started doing is I like to increase the oxygen resistance as well. Early on, just so I have that out of the way instead of when it's beginning to increase or begins to interfere with other stuff for me. So I'm going to just that up a little bit. I'm going to actually, sometimes I just color these to have fun. I'm going to say that's rusty-ish orange. Alright, and off we go. Yeah, so I got all the iron, so we're good there. So I'm not going to immediately start dying like I have before when I've done this. Well, the thing to note though is that this iron is going to be our main source of energy. We're going to have to be really careful about how we handle things, because if it becomes too much, then if we lose all of our iron, it'll be hard for us to actually stay alive. I'm going to try to make sure to have regular glucose synthesis be, oh, nope, can't get that actually. I'm going to have, so that glucose will still be viable for us in the long term if we run out of iron and all that. And because those would be some of the hardest moments when I was doing this before, when I would have no iron and I'd just start dying. I love that it does this all the time. I wonder what that came off of. Oh, okay, that is just where we are right now. This is why it's so. Oh, that is also beneficial. So more. It's off of there. It looks like there's another one I had it. Some of your 1 in 10, my lord. It's interesting that we don't see the jump really here compared to this. I feel like it should be the same amount, but yeah, whatever. So I'm just put that there. Obviously, when we return, switching those out with different organelles over time, once we get the metabosomes with enough oxygen, and it becomes better than the hydrogenase, we're going to be switching those out there. So I'm going to basically pretend as if I can switch them out normally, because I like to just delete the proteins once I get to the organelles. So I like to set them up in their arrangements for their organelle versions. Oop, I don't have enough. Let me do that. I like to just switch it. I like to have it prepared so I'm not just adding on even more stuff and have a bunch of like old things that aren't as useful at that point, I guess is the best way to put it. I'll go up here to get some more hydrogen sulfide. Get in my belly. Yeah, someone else did mention that obviously I don't talk a whole lot. It is still something I am trying to work on, because it is kind of an odd thing for me. I feel very deranged, if that makes sense, because I am generally kind of just talking to myself. So it just ends up feeling really weird to do. I don't know why. That's always like, some of these things are bigger than you think they are. Also, when I was doing my test with this, of course they're like already gone. They're extinct from the planet. Why are evil loves to do this? But it always backfires is something I will never understand. Let's see, it's at 74 now there. I always love seeing the higher amounts of some of these other patches when that happens. Suggesting a slime jet. So I could help. Obviously, we're going to try and get the nucleus as quickly as we can. Can't really do anything else. We're going to just increase the oxygen resistance. Really look at it, but well, obviously that's the single cytoplasm. We have there's us, the iron one, and then most of that came off the iron one. All right, but this one though, I mean, it looks like a thermal. I don't know why it hasn't had a speciation event at all since it formed, but okay. Also, it would just change its membrane color. That was basically just us there with a slightly different membrane. In addition to that, obviously we did that, So the iron one has twice de-evolved default and just a basic cytoplasm hex. So I love that the original Thrivium one is so tiny compared to all the other ones. You are stuck in a front. The other one got it. I mean, for all I know, that could have actually been a really bad move there. But I mean, hey, it worked out, right? A bunch of my friends. Should try to find. Okay, there's some iron there. Flip on my iron before the next generation. Alright. So there's another extinction from the planet. What's that thing? We're still getting mechanic options here. Guess through a. It's kind of like a. Probably like some sort of fault line or something. That's my best guess as to what's happening there. Not going to really want to use this because it's going to be using ATP to make toxins unless we have to do it later on. Let's move that there, that there, put that up top. You know, we're kind of just going long at the moment, but should work out eventually. Keep this slime jet at the bottom. All right. Okay, apparently I can still not engulf that. It's one of the weirdest thing I always get confused by with this sometimes. At what point you're able to actually engulf certain things and some like the rocks and whatnot. As they look like they're small enough for me to consume, but I guess game-wise they're bigger than my cell is. Or I don't have the room yet or whatever. I don't entirely know how it works. I think a program will be able to explain. Which I am not. Well, maybe I should also talk about the world building thing I've been doing. So that is still ongoing. However, I want to actually save revealing anything else with it for like the continent appearance, plate locations, and all that stuff until I finish it and we have a live stream, because I think it'd be kind of cool to reveal the final thing at the just reveal it to everyone at one time. God, we're having so much sulfur here. Oh, radiation rocks, right? Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Sulfur radiation rock there. You know, there's no radiation at the top levels. The Fraternal, no, it's not. It's like 20, right? It's like, yeah, it's 20 above. That, increase that by 5%. And currently we have to have it base yet above, like with this, it has to be 38 or more here. Obviously, it's going to keep on going as we add more. We want it to get more than 20 above for the nucleus. Of course, once we have the nucleus, we can start getting the ferroplast, I think it is, which should help make iron synthesis a bit more viable. see, as you'd seen with the prediction, we were going to drop a bit, which is fine. It's a glucose meteor. A glucose meteor. Tesla gem, but I want to get this ready for nucleus already. Just do that. Actually, do that. So now I'm coming above the amount, and it is telling us we can now suggesting the, so we're probably going to be doing that next editor cycle. And we're going to want to be very careful once we're there, because we're going to suffer pretty quick. Not big enough for that dude. I can't consume that guy. Yeah. Let's take a look at the evolutionary map again. Okay, well, we had a lot of speciations. That one, oh, that one had a, I wonder where that one is located. I don't think it tells us anything about where they evolved, where they were located. Sadly enough, you kind of have to see them when they actually show up. That one's been going pretty good. This one must be an area where it's to handle stuff and there's no real predators, or it's just using its population size to its advantage. So I find it so fun, because once these things start like evolving, and it's just like all the way back to, like, you know, the basic cell, so it's time to start all over again. And there's the occasional ones where I've actually, oh, this one finally had a bunch of speciations, like the generation after I complained about it and wondered why it was struggling. Yeah, sometimes you'll see, like, although I haven't seen it in a while, but on occasion, they'll sometimes de-evolve to just have a single protein in them instead of just being a blank cytoplasm hex, which is really funny to me. I don't know what that was, but I was here to eat it. Actually, try to get some. Editor is ready. Just gonna get some nitrogen sulfide and get over back to the iron. I'm probably gonna slow it down as well, because we are gonna have a nucleus now. One, it's a lot of sulfur there. Do that, what? 1 times. So our patch actually has more sulfur. And then the nucleus. Yeah, you can see we already have the ferroplast ready. No, it's not going to be immediate. That thing's the cumulus. Alright, let's... Also, I love how... Hold on. Well, okay, it already says that we're going to be doing well, so... Okay. Well, it's just that. We're going to have... something like yeah, this is really tight, so... It is something to consider when you do it at the bare minimum moment, because it could really make yourself start struggling for a bit, and you're just kind of playing catch up to keep your thing alive. That's also one of the reasons why I'm staying in this particular area. You can also stop moving to try and conserve some ATP. I do want to get to that hydrogen sulfur. No, that guy's a spike. Try to stick to this little iron cloud to keep my iron topped up as much as I possibly can. Yeah, I got it. That's pretty neat for the plants. this feels so slow now. Oh, one of our guys died there, so that's gonna cause some problems for our species. With the editor cycle. Yeah, so we do suffer greatly usually when we do this. But now I have the Ferroplast. Yeah, the Ferroplast. So we're gonna do this and put that there. It is 45. I want to do one there, but I'm gonna hold off on that. Do that as well. Oh, it's just the lysosome. Okay. You may have also noticed generally when I do nucleuses, I generally just have them like in the main center line. I don't always have them on the sides like this. I don't know why. It's just a preference of mine, I guess. It's kind of odd things about how I prefer to play. I get rid of slime jet though. It's a bit of a nuisance, honestly. I'm just consuming my glucose at a bit quicker rate than I would prefer. It may also a good thing to have for trying to get some of these smaller cells at this size is a cilia, and switched over to so like pulling in mode. I'm gonna try to get this guy. I couldn't, dang it. It's like if I had the cilia thing, that probably would have worked there. Okay, I got that one though. Or okay, I guess that wasn't actually it. Because I know I had that set up. I wonder. There's two different versions now. Because one is, I think it's this one I need. Clear version. I need to actually get some more glucose or hydrogen sulfide because I am slowly turned down. Or of course, just consume other cells that would also help. Fine over here. Editor is ready now. Oh, I got another single cytoplasm hex. Alright. Now something has differentiated from us, so if that is a warrior design, it's done. Notice that with this, you just need the one for that to work. Now at 35, we can't really get anything else, so just increase option tolerance, make sure this is, yeah, it's a clear one. And it is good to just double check to make sure they're still here. They are not in here, so types. Yeah, it's a different species of it, so we're gonna have to cancel that. This is the one that's in our area though. Okay. Well, there's some other ones it shows, but ours are. Okay, that might actually be a good one to do because easy ferroplast to obtain. Alright. Now when I do this, it'll suck in a bit more, which is a little weird to say. That is a lot of slime jets. My lord. Because that's what we needed. myself for a moment. Silly me. You can sort of see the benefit of this. Okay, that's actually what we're... Oh, it got away, actually. Okay, that's interesting to note. You can actually escape this if you have a slime jet. A lot of really small souls don't have them, though, most of the time. Hydrogen sulfide chunk here, so I'm going to just try to get to my advantage. And apparently you can eat this one now. Try and just max out my glucose so I can start trying to get some hydrogen sulfide back up. Just wait a bit more. I'm probably gonna not be able to keep it inside my cell when I come back out, just because of how things are. Oh, that's one of ours. It's going now. Alright. So we're losing a bit. Another speciation event happened. That's completely gone. Check this here. We're halfway through, so we just need more of them. Just gonna double check this. And they're gone. Oh my god. That is one problem with this. Try this one, but there's no guarantee it'll end up working. Actually suggesting a bank order. Hold on. I didn't mention I was gonna want that anymore. So usually when I'm dealing with that, I kind of, especially with this, I'm always going to be doing it to what my main energy source is. 40 left over. Don't really need that. That's going to just be a waste of ATP right now. Okay, we'll just increase this to 100 then. Alright. This. So, yeah, that'll keep us a bit better. Let's do this. I'm going to put all these in the middle. To kind of save them. Although this is the only one that seems to actually truly affect the auto evil prediction at the moment, from what I've noticed. I can definitely do Chem-Class now when I want to. No slime jets. Yeah, as you can see that just kind of dropping out of my cell. Let's hope that species doesn't die off on us. Because then I'll have nothing to do endo symbiosis with. Okay, that'll keep generating some additional hydrogen sulfide for us. Except we've already consumed the whole thing. Let me just speed it up a bit. Ooh, that was interesting to see. But can't consume that right now. I guess this is a strategy, but bit more. Get my iron though. Careful with that. Go in the editor. Alright. So dropping. Is that the thing we were trying to use? I think it might have been. Okay, everything here now is nucleus, so yeah. Hey. Nothing we can make use of, sadly. It's the, you get a little stabby apparently. To think. Also, I should probably see if there's any oxygen. Okay. I mean, I said that would happen. Nothing here yet. This is kind of interesting. I don't see anything. There's any signs that anything is even tried. No photosynthetic yet. I feel like by now I feel like by now something would have started doing it. Oh, don't really need that anymore now, do we? Not helpful at the moment. Big 5 left over. I don't know what to do though. Just want iron over here, so that's pretty good. And just top up on the iron. Yeah, I got rid of this silly because it's not fully necessary anymore. We're mainly using it to try and vacuum up the smaller cells, the ender symbiosis, and for consuming stuff, but, well, not really here anymore. Found by a bunch of other cells with nucleuses. So when it's not as important or useful, there's no reason to keep it around. I was selling these a little bit over time. Patch map. Just see it. Oh, okay, something here. So now doing okay, so that showed up there. That's perhaps the only one. Options being generated now. Maybe. Yep. Here as well, but I don't know what did it. Maybe it's something I missed before. Okay, this one clearly has been going on for a while, so maybe it's actually diffused over there. Maybe, I don't know if that's a thing that the game does. Alright. Let's see now. I got that binding agent. Go to these. And that. 30 again. Maybe I'll do a spike. Like that. Go to modify into that, which I did before. I think we can just leave it as is. And it'll just give us a way of popping some of the other bigger cells that come near us. we can try and consume them a little bit, instead of just having to focus on obtaining glucose and sulfur and all that. We can eat their innards. Get away from the radiation. I wanna. Oh God, I've been Lord, and I've been consumed. God, yikes. I am radioactive, so I wonder if I could hurt the cell. I guess not. Okay, well, gotta find iron quickly. One thing to note though is I think a lot of the AI cells don't delete and replace old parts, so they generally are always growing a little bit each generation, whereas players are going to do that, so there will be a time when you aren't always getting bigger than the AI cells. Although, I mean, even if it's defensively, we could actually get some toxins in us. So on the defensive side, that makes it a bit more slightly harder to consume us, since it would result in consistent damage to whatever's trying to eat us. So that could be something we might want to try. More so just to have that sort of, you decide to eat me, well, too bad kind of situation. I think I'm actually going to do that. I don't know if the type of toxin will affect the way it damages though, so we may as well just stick with a basic one. I don't plan on actually using the toxins actually. I love how they can have stuff that we can't even get till later on, or when the conditions arise. That is always just kind of funny. And then a possible thing we could try as well, which is one where we actually use radiation to see just how extreme we can make that. Like, if we could really just sit around one for like multiple generation cycles and just consume radiation from it. Consume that. So we're just suffering out because we have no glucose, but we should have some in a moment. It's actually fusing into here. Decide the moment to add some more of these, but we got no glucose. That can make things a little difficult. But here we go. The thing is, that'll only hold us over for a little bit, so we need to get glucose from something. Damage that enough. Boy. I was trying to move over to where this is. Just slowly survive on the amount of we have access to. Help us. Okay, I was trying to get more glucose from that. I have you the same thing. Okay, so I can definitely also consume you. So I get a moment, apparently. Some glucose from just what I've consumed. I think I can definitely consume myself. After slow diffusing into this patch, so we're gonna probably see some entering our current patch very soon. That down there actually. I'll do that as well. Both of it. Let's move the nucleus to the very bottom. I think that's always probably the best thing to do. So I'm gonna accept well. And again, not actually utilizing that in this. use this chance to just gain a bunch of resources I need. So there's an eruption actually, so that's good. Some more hydrogen sulfide for us to utilize now. At 0.04% oxygen present. And we're nowhere close yet to having the metabolisms filled because it needs to be 1%, and they're still not as efficient as the hydrogenases until a bit of the ways in. So it's be a while before you can start. We might try and dish them out early, but we're going to want everything else to be much better to keep us alive if we do that. No, I can do that. Alright, we're going to just move on. Let's do some for glucose for a moment. Although, now that we've had an eruption, we should try and get to a new place of the map so that we can get the new hydrogen sulfide spawning. So I believe that's the only way to get it to actually start showing up. Might be able to. Could be risky, but I might try and actually travel across a gap. Although if I do die in the process, that's actually not as bad as you may think I would assume it would be. So that must have been tied to the eruption event. Because if we do die, it'll kind of jump us around to a new location. And if that happens, then we should have access to some new hydrogen sulfide. Also, let's... that may not be as good as I think it would be. Yeah, let's try this. Try it for hydrogen sulfide. So I'm trying to get more access to that when we need it. Alright, off we go. So we got a little bit of glucose here, so that will benefit us now. Hopefully we'll use that in what iron we have left to get to a new area. And we've got some stuff right here, so I'm also going to see if we can consume this. So I cannot. Okay, that means we'll at least Gotta be iron. Bring yourself down. Is that so? Unless there's something closer to that, I should hopefully be able to get that hydrogen sulfide over there. So I won't, so I'm gonna try and. Okay, it's leaving a trail of hydrogen sulfide though. Let's also get closer to this rock. We can just nab a whole bunch of. And okay, this actually might be a good spot over there. More hydrogen sulfide and all that. Plus the big iron chunk. So can I get this? Because if I can consume this right now, I cannot. Alright. It's just not moving. That will increase glucose until it's full. At the same time, I'll probably want to use this one as well. There's a large chunk over there, so that's probably going to be pretty good to hop over towards. Let's just turn it back for a moment. I'm going to make sure that I have some available. Some toxins ready. Now I'm trying to gain hydrogen sulfide. I'm gaining quite a bit of surplus there. Hydrogen sulfide, so I'll be good for the next generation. So I may as well come down here and nab some iron. I believe we're going to have a general population loss, I think. Let's see. Look at all the extinct species already. So we had it increase there. And again, that's probably because I didn't die, I think. Did I? Okay, I don't know if I actually died. I know it does show that another cell did, so here's that. Down here we're at 34%. Even though we have a really good number, actually, to be fair. So really there's not a whole lot for us to worry about, just generating more energy. So main task right now. And I sort of did something like this before, actually. Kind of mirrored it, so I might actually kind of do that a little bit. Move that down there. And move that down, just to make sure that you're still on it. Alright. It's the only living species we can do that with. It'll give us something. And I'll probably move up front, maybe, place some there, and then start trying to mirror the whole creature. we'll have to see how it goes. Might also obtain the cilia just so I can get the turn radius back. Just so I can do these sharper turns now. Although I won't be modifying it if I do that. Obviously here we're not going to see any oxygen because it hasn't even hit a 0.1% or anything that really. What is it actually at for us? It's at 0.34, so it really could show up. I just don't think it does until it hits at least a full percent. And then with this, see it again. I think I know why that one died. It had the radiation thing, but it didn't make it. That's recently gone. Oh my lord, that is a lot of modified slime jets. Actually, let's say added some additional percentage, then just modified them. I don't think it needs all those. Unless it's in a place that has a lot of predators and it really just needs that long, shield time or whatever. So I haven't gotten to a different branch off yet. So I have the sulfur chunk within my cell, so that is good. Okay, I'm going to speed things up. One thing I will say that happened actually to me in one of my games, I'd first heard about it potentially happening within Thrive, actually from the subreddit, is you can actually have a situation where a species will actually effectively stick around another cell, like the player cell, because the player cell will be draining out, kind of might start again soon, like how I was sort of leaking out a bunch of hydrogen sulfide. What happens with glucose, and there's a much smaller cell. Sometimes I think it probably ends up having much smaller creatures though in this. Is that you'll have these bacteria creatures that will kind of swarm your cell to get the glucose, but if you can consume them, you can just kind of leave that on, and they'll just get vacuumed up whenever you have extra room for them. Although the problem with that is you could eventually kill off that entire species. Okay, apparently that move might have increased my speed somehow. Let's see. I don't think be helpful in case it's necessary. Yeah, hydrogenates obviously there, but we're going to switch those out once we're able to and it works out. So nothing's going to consume us in a while, so I'll probably end up deleting that next chance I get, which will save on our. But we have officially thrived, so we have 10 P1. Take this off. And I'm going to keep this speed boost mode so we can keep going. And you can kind of see I'm making that. Then I'm making hydrogen sulfide now, which this was glucose. We had some much smaller, like bacteria-like cells present. They may actually swarm me and try and consume that. So yeah, that can happen. But once we became obviously eukaryotic, it seems like all the smaller stuff kind of got pushed out because we just started vacuuming up everything. Especially because I had put that silicon in the stuff that evolved from me, definitely took advantage of it. Oh my god. That thing hurt me. Oh yeah, right. I almost would do that, but you can consume the phosphate chunks. I don't think there's any ammonia chunks in the game unless they just don't spawn in there, like in the code or something. I don't know. I don't think there are ammonia chunks. He's still kind of going down. Oh, that is. How did the auto even up creating that thing? That it's like a complete de-evolution of a bunch of things that I had set up early on. Let's see, we're at 94% oxygen, so not yet enough for the metabolism to show up. I'm going to get rid of that because we don't actually need it anymore. We may eventually get some speed stuff back, which can help us dominate these hydrothermal vents efficiently. I still have a hydrogen sulfide chunk in my cell, so for the time being I'm going to be passively gaining hydrogen sulfide, which is pretty nice, so I don't have to worry about trying to locate any of it. To be more concerned with just the iron. Little toxin cloud thing, but I think it just vanished on us. Sit around and see what happens. We can zoom in, take a look at our cell. Obviously there you can see the major increase in our storage for the iron because that vac will replicate it. It's also starting to rain outside of my house. I don't think the mic could pick it up, but then again I feel like my microphone picks up a bunch of small sounds because whenever I look at OBS it seems like it's always picking up something. So I don't know. This hydrogen sulfide vacuole that's now expanded. Pouch just throws the things into whatever spot it can think of. Like why is there a metabolism down there? Yeah, hydrogen is okay, the glacial then ended. It's still going down. So no option elsewhere, yada yada yada. I mean, no option level's getting pretty high. I don't actually know what the highest possible level is. So, oh, that's 45 there, wow. That, but also it's like the only thing that is interesting.
very low. That's the most common thing right now. Just beast on our own creature. Although it definitely came off a bit earlier on. And now current setup. We now have enough option for that to show up next round. So I might start doing the medallions on this side instead of the hydrogenases. But need another 2. And why not? Alright. And once we get Celia, that will be pretty beneficial for these turn radiuses. It can become a danger to all these microorganisms again. And we already have lysosome set up in a way that we can consume 2 different kinds of membranes that can be formed. It'd be very hard for anything to get a membrane that'll that we won't be able to consume unless it's like a handful of ones that are like that. Ow. Felt comfortable having my saw move around a ton for quite some time, but getting to the point where it's definitely better. And again, with the auto evo suggesting, I think anytime you just tell your saw to be sessile, it'll always be better. We've got a eruption actually, so that's nice. You can actually see carbon dioxide went up and nitrogen went down. 1.62% oxygen. Curious as to what this is for you there. I thought that might have been higher. I think change, which I'm looking at right. That patch was Cenozoic type pool. Okay, actually, okay, yeah, the action went down. Probably, I think because of the impact it had. Okay, that has a ton of sulfur. Like how it looks like it just had restarted. Probably, I'm gonna assume this was the colonizer of this patch. Everything's just been going off of that. Yeah, so we can see it doesn't produce a whole lot. So like even if I put it on here, it's like a little bit, but like it had more regulation though. Kind of just look at the way numbers change. Like a jump of 2 for barely a change. It's not the best. I'm gonna do that. That looks good. Hold on a moment. I just did it just in case something starts downpouring. I don't want to be panicking trying to close my window. Yeah, so I'm putting those there because I want to get the cilia on for the turns. We've got the flagellum, so we're good there. But yeah, probably going to change the turn a little bit. Make it a bit easier. Ow. My own guy threw me in danger. My own friend. How could he? another reason why I'm going to want to get the metabolisms in before it can even really, even before they're really sustainable, is because it'll help get the mitochondria ready much earlier. Getting the mitochondria will be pretty nice because, well, we all know what it is. We all know the saying if we've taken a science class. Get back here. Dang it. So we've actually, I think it's the first time we've had an population increase in a little bit. Alright. Another reference of that's more hydrogen sulfide. Haslands have become slightly more effective, I think. Maybe not. I actually don't know how much oxygen will get to the bottom, so we never actually end up really utilizing mitochondria at this point. Interesting enough. Let's get the cilia on now. Oop. Okay, that is kind of close though. Well, we're gonna go forward, see how it goes. But I mean, we've already survived, so we've already technically beaten the game. In this one, if we just become really aggressive predators, we can probably keep ourselves alive no matter what. Until, of course, everything else also starts to be based on us and become predators as well. But I think I'm a little with the hydrogen sulfide chunk, so I might want to go find another one and eat it. To be honest. There's a hydrogen sulfide chunk. And after this, may as well go grab some more iron. I think eventually you can actually get big enough to eat the iron chunks. I know I did a test where to see if that was possible, and yeah, it is possible. Just gotta get like really big. So two things went extinct. That increased, that decreased. We're increasing again now. 6-3. Send a level out. Oh, that's higher there. That's getting higher, so it also depends. We don't have a lot of photosynthesis going on in this particular area, so maybe I think it did increase a little bit. It's not going to affect us here that much. 5 though. And we need. Oh, it's just a 4. Okay. Undo that. Put another one of those in there, and then next round we're going to do 2 metabolisms there, so we can hopefully get the mitochondria at least available already. If I do this, it does decrease, so we're going to just leave it for now. I don't know if I'm going to consume anything at the moment. Let's stab this thing to death. There we go. And provide some assistance. Yeah, get it. Get it. I need the iron. It's kind of out of my way. Alright. Yeah. See how long we can survive at this one, I guess. I'm seeing if. I doubt the metabolisms are going to become super efficient for us here. another eruption, okay. How some of these other ones had some number of eruptions. Guess well, that one has had quite a bit. But I guess sulfur isn't being utilized a ton by the cells there. Alright. So some land items, but I want to make sure I can have that ready for whenever it actually becomes useful. You can see it is getting a little bit better. It says we're around 2% oxygen, so I guess we have increased oxygen a bit here. I can't remember when it becomes better than the hydrogenase. Looks like it's getting close to roughly a 0.1 ATP generation, but yeah, it's going to be a while before it becomes efficient for us. And so now, though, we can start getting the mitochondria to get going. But I'm probably going to stop it soon because it's been going on for a little while. I don't know how long I've been recording at the moment. But I've already pretty much proven that, yeah, you can survive with just focusing on... Oh, God, ow. Get away from me. Wanna play that game, mister? I'll play that game. You're dead. You too shall die. Because you're related. That guy is trying to use, some kind of war crime. The radiation chunk. I need to get iron. So I don't actually die. I'm losing it fast. Alright. Avoid the little hazard thing. Yeah, I will say for the most part, iron generally best to do, I think, at the lower patches because that's where iron tends to be has the most concentration. If we do the other ones, obviously we'd also do thermosynthesis in the lower patches because temperature is the best there. I mean, this is the only other high temperature patch, the tide pool, but it's not as efficient as well. 98 degrees Celsius. Yeah, we probably also do radiation down here because that's usually where all the radiation is located. Well, I guess you could also do it in the caves. Actually, the cave has more iron, so I mean, that would probably have been a better move, but I never made my change. Mainly because also, it's not a lot of hydrogen sulfide there, so my other option with hydrogen sulfide for the glucose generation wouldn't be as efficient for me long term. I think I'm going to just do one more generation cycle and then I'll call it done. And let's see if we can consume these guys. Oh, that almost killed me. Ay. This doesn't have good toxins. That does, though. I've actually never used that one before, actually. Why not? Oh, and of course I just got exploded. I mean, that saved. Well, I did the change right in time, apparently. Yeah, so we're gonna call that there. Actually, yeah, you can actually see one of my other versions. I think that was the one where I was trying to eat everything.
you enjoyed the video. I hope audio should have been fully fixed now. Yeah, thanks for watching and have a good day.